And now, aviation weather around Alaska. Hi, I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan, and now it's time for your Alaska aviation weather. As we move through Wednesday and Thursday, the midweek period, there is going to be a stronger area of low pressure on Wednesday out over the central Bering that will work its way toward Nunavik Island and then right up into the southwest interior, working its way up along the Yukon, lower middle Yukon Valley as we go through Thursday. It's going to bring a variety of weather. We have a frontal system that is going to be arcing out ahead of it, bringing strong gusty winds along the southwest coast, elevated surf in areas of the southwest and west coast. Also, copious amounts of precipitation, heavier snowfall, winter storm warnings are in effect here for the west central interior of the mainland. We're going to have a secondary low develop by Wednesday afternoon. Just northeast of Kodiak and off the Kenai Peninsula. And that's going to force a frontal system up into the Panhandle as we go into later Wednesday night and Thursday with wind, heavier, moderate to heavy rain along the coast there with snow in the mountains. So this is still a rather stormy, active pattern here to get through during this midweek period. Widespread IFR conditions across much of the southwest mainland in through areas of Cook Inlet down along the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island. Also IFR conditions along central eastern Brooks Range, especially the south slopes. And going into Wednesday afternoon, as the low tracks toward Nunavik Island is looking to come onshore by Wednesday evening. There could even be some scattered thunderstorms out here over the southeast Bering Sea. We have a colder pool air aloft, which makes for added instability. So a few flashes of lightning and rumbles of thunder certainly possible there. As the secondary low gets organized, we see IFR conditions expanding here throughout areas of the northwestern and northern Gulf Coast, including Prince William Sound. And by the time we get into Thursday, the low is out here in the Gulf with a front, widespread IFR throughout the Panhandle, extending back along the northeastern Gulf up into the lower Copper River Basin, south side of the Alaska Range, and then up here through the western and central interior, areas of heavy snow. And there could even be, again, some flashes of lightning and rumbles of thunder here up on the northern end of the Alaska Peninsula, there near the Iliamna region, Dillingham, King Salmon. And then for Thursday afternoon, still widespread IFR across the central interior, areas of moderate to heavy snow, lower ceilings, areas of fog as well. And that extends northward along the Brooks Range and North Slope. And we still have areas of IFR from the lower Copper River Basin, Wrangell, St. Elias Mountains out across the Panhandle. So looking at pass conditions Wednesday, Anaktuvuk Pass and Adigan Pass will generally be IFR here during the day on Wednesday with that moisture streaming in southwest to northeast. Lake Clark and Merrill also socked in with IFR conditions. Rainy Pass, IFR anticipated through much of the day Wednesday. And at Windy Pass, IFR early, maybe a little break toward MVFR during the daytime, but it would not last long. Isabel Pass, generally MVFR conditions. Further east, Mentasta Pass, VFR in the morning, giving way to MVFR. And then Tanita Pass may see IFR conditions in the morning, giving way to MVFR. Portage Pass should generally be stuck under IFR conditions, as will that whole area around Prince William Sound as that next area of low pressure, that secondary development occurs out through the western Gulf. Chilkoot and White starting off VFR Wednesday, giving way to IFR conditions, and those IFR conditions will hold through Wednesday night and Thursday. So here we have the low that's back out toward the Aleutians, or I should say out toward the central Bering. Frontal systems already passed through the Aleutians and it's pushing up into the southwest part of the state. So we have freezing levels aloft rising upwards of 6,000, 8,000 feet along the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island, and then at or above 10,000 feet there in the North Pacific. So there is a push of warmer air with this system compared to the last couple of weather systems that have moved through this region here in the last week. So that is going to allow precipitation to be mainly rain along the coast here, maybe a mix and transition, but the farther north that moisture goes, or the higher up in the atmosphere up along like the Alaska Range, everything will stay snow. And looking at the icing potential, widespread moderate icing is possible throughout much of the mainland, down through the Gulf. First, at least early in the day, along this area, but by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon, it spreads further northeast and eastward through the Gulf. And we expect icing generally around and above 2,000 feet here across much of the central interior, above 4,000 feet here in the southwest interior. And then as we get to, as I was just showing you, the freezing levels aloft are higher, so above 6,000 feet here as you extend out through the lower or the northern portion of the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, and then above 10,000 feet, middle lower peninsula and into the North Pacific. And all this has come together because of the jet stream structure. We have a core of 150 knot southwesterly winds coming out of the North Pacific into the western Gulf. Here is the upper level low back through this region. So the surface low coming in up through this track. And then we have secondary development that will happen Wednesday afternoon in this region and then spread east-northeastward into the northern Gulf. But a broad belt of 50 to 70 knot winds covers the lower southeast Bering Sea, the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, down into the northern Gulf. And at 3,000 feet, little wonder we'll have issues with turbulence here, especially some of the strongest winds. Southeastern Bering, just east of the Pribilof Islands, coming up toward the southwest coast. Again, another reason why there could be some strong winds and high surf along this area of Bristol Bay, Kuskokwim Bay. And also some stronger winds ahead of that secondary low in the front that develops, that pushes up into the northern Gulf and the Panhandle. So we anticipate there could be a number of areas of severe turbulence out and around St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew, St. Paul, St. George, all along the central eastern Aleutians up through at least the lower half of the Alaska Peninsula back up toward Kuskokwim Bay, and also an area just outside of Prince William Sound, outside of Hinchinbrook Entrance, and Cape Suckling could also see some isolated severe turbulence. A broad area, though, of moderate turbulence from areas of, like, say, Point Hope south through the Seward Peninsula, and especially down here through the western and southwest interior, including Kodiak Island, and then areas of the Kenai Peninsula, and just outside along the northern Gulf Coast and outside coast of the Panhandle there in the Gulf. Surface to 6,000 feet is where you would tend to find the bulk of this moderate turbulence.